Welcome to my weekly tech updates. This is a new format I'm trying out to see if I can summarize in less than 10 minutes per week all the most important news in tech and also try to give you a key to understanding them, trying to give you all the background knowledge you need to have in order to interpret what these tech news are gonna mean for society or maybe for your career. The first thing I want to talk about today is some of the new updates that we have about the metaverse. We know that the metaverse is this kind of strange digital world that Facebook has been pitching for the last couple of weeks. Facebook now actually rebranded to Meta, and they did that because they want to give a strong sense that this is going to be their main focus from now on, switching from social media to being a metaverse company, a company building experiences and platforms to allow people to experience this digital place called the metaverse. Now, one of the interesting things about the metaverse is that it's not just a cool, fun experience that you have when you put your virtual reality goggles on and you play video games. It's a bit more. The metaverse, it's supposed to be the next computing platform. In Mark Zuckerberg's eyes, but also in the ones of a lot of other companies, the metaverse is going to be a shift in the way that people access digital information. Not anymore from smartphones, or at least not just from smartphones and computers and iPads, but big chunk of these digital experiences will happen in the metaverse. This means that it requires a lot of new technology to be built, a lot of new devices, a lot of new experiences. And Facebook is starting to push out some news to give us ideas about what they're building, how they imagine this metaverse to be, and what are they trying to achieve in order for us to have great metaverse experiences. One of them, it's a glove that has some haptic feedback that is currently under research from their Reality Labs. In an article by Facebook Reality Labs, which actually I need to remember, it's called Meta now, so Meta Reality Labs, they explain all the different challenges they had to solve in order to make a glove that when you're holding an object in VR, gives you the feeling of what you're holding. So right now I'm holding a glass and I know that it's cold, it's smooth, and it's a rounded shape. But in virtual reality, so in the metaverse, if you're holding a piece of glass, how are you gonna know that that's glass and not steel or wood? Reality Labs built this glove that has a bunch of tiny little actuators and sensors that by moving give you the feeling of what you're touching. It's a very interesting article because Facebook Meta explained that the technology that they had available today or in the past few years is simply not made for a small glove that needs to be comfortable and easy to wear. So they had to find a new way to develop different kind of haptic sensors driven by air that gets pushed in the right parts of your hand when you're touching an object in the metaverse, and it's giving you the feeling of actually touching that object. There's still a lot of open questions though. Like for instance, what happens if you touch fire? Should it hurt? I would say no, but it should give you some feeling, some sensation that you touched fire. That's something that they're gonna have to solve. Or what happens if I grab a glass and I squeeze, and in the metaverse I can probably touch my fingers and the glass is supposed to break? What are they gonna do? How are they gonna give me the feeling of my fingers should stop? These are huge user experience questions that people are gonna have to solve. I'm super excited to see what's gonna be Facebook's approach. Other news from the metaverse field come from Nvidia. Nvidia had one of their conferences where they showed the latest technologies, and they showed a very interesting approach that they have to chatbots or virtual assistants in the metaverse. They had this technology that allows you to make a very nice rendering of somebody that looks a little bit like a cartoon, and you can interact with this person. You can ask questions, you can get answers, you get recommendations for new content. And the interesting thing about this is that in order to take an experience that we already are pretty familiar with on the web, chatbots and virtual assistants, and trying to move it to the metaverse, there's a lot of other technology that needs to be developed. So rendering systems and avatars and all that stuff. So it's really exciting to me. The most important thing that I get from these two articles is that this is a complete new shift in computing and the way we approach digital experiences, which means that there's an endless amount of opportunities for new things to be developed, new ways to interact with technology, and a lot of research still has to be made. In other news, a Tesla Model 3 that was using full self-driving had a crash last week. And the interesting thing is that Tesla is now branding the new capabilities as full self-driving, which is supposed to mean that these cars are supposed to be completely autonomous. There are a few weird things about it though. First of all, Tesla says that the driver should be vigilant at all times and should be able to take over. In this case, it looks like the car actually said to the driver, hey, you should take over. The driver tried to do that, but didn't manage to solve the issue because there was some weird overlapping controls between him and the self-driving technology from Tesla. The interesting thing, though, is that this is technically not full self-driving. This is still level 2 if you're asking to somebody to be able to take control at all times. It's not level 5, even though Tesla is technically branding it as full self-driving technology. The other weird thing is that Tesla is very open about the fact that people are beta testing it, which opens up an ethical question. You are beta testing self-driving technology or your own users in the real world. Is that ethical? Is that safe? Really hard to say. Tesla always says that their cars are as safe, if not more, than human drivers. And even assuming that that is, I think there's still a lot of ethical questions that we need to answer. For instance, are we happy with the fact that people may die because they're running a beta test of some software? I don't know. Let me know what's your opinion in the comments. Other piece of news in the world of crypto. This is not really a crypto news, but I think it's interesting to talk about. So crypto.com, which is a platform that allows you to have credit cards that you can charge crypto on. They also give you crypto cashbacks and a lot of cool things. They purchased the rights to call the Staples Arena, which is a basketball arena where the Los Angeles Lakers played. And from Christmas Day on, this is not going to be called anymore the Staples Arena, but the Crypto.com Arena. What does it mean? Well, all these signals mean that crypto is trying to become mainstream, at least, because the fact that a basketball stadium, it's called Crypto.com, doesn't mean that all the people that are going to go watch the match are using crypto. It's basically a huge advertising stunt. And that also means that the crypto community is actually very rich and is trying to get into the mainstream economy. But do not interpret these signals as signals of actual usage of crypto. I think you should look at other things if you want to know if crypto is actually becoming mainstream or not. Some very important updates from Apple. You may know that Apple is in a big lawsuit with Epic, which is the company that developed Fortnite. Basically, Fortnite sued Apple for its monopolist position on the App Store. And one of the key points of this lawsuit was the fact that Apple forces developers to use their own payment system, and then they take 30% out of each transaction. Now, the lawsuit was about a lot of different points, and Apple won all of them except this one. So it looks like from now on, Apple is going to have to allow developers to recommend users different systems of payment that are not the Apple payment system. That could be to go on a website and put your credit card link or really anything else. And by doing this, developers will be allowed to bypass the Apple 30% rule. Apple had appealed to this court decision, but last week the court rejected this appeal and said, yes, Apple, you can allow people to use different ways of paying. This is obviously a huge deal for Apple, who makes more than $20 billion per year from the fees of the App Store, and also for some game companies. According to some data released by Apple for this court case, in 2016, the biggest contributor for these fees was Tencent, the Chinese app developer, who in just 2015 gave Apple almost $1.4 billion. It really looks like Apple has lost, at least in the US. We're gonna see what's gonna happen and how this is gonna affect both Apple and also developers, who are gonna now have a way to retain all the money that users pay them and so cut out the Apple 30% fee. That's it for this week. If you wanna stay up to date to all the weekly updates that I'm gonna do, you have to subscribe to my community. I'm gonna put the link in the description of this video, and let me know down in the comments if you found this useful and what piece of information was the most interesting for you. I'll see you next week. Ciao.